And now it is time for a new story from the Viking Home Companion. The boys and I were on our way home from going Viking the other day, and the wind was blowing pretty good, so we didn't have to do a whole lot of rowing. But Beorn Saxonbane's favourite spot on the boat when he wasn't rowing was sitting on the back next to Halfdan on the tiller. The whole boat was very aware at that point that Beorn was long overdue for a bath. Now, I am pretty sure that it is much easier to fight someone when they are too busy coughing, gagging, and trying to wipe the tears out of their eyes and all. But it was bad enough that most of the boys couldn't even enjoy their lutefisk. So we had to do something about it. Now, the trick to giving a berserker a bath is you gotta get his axe away from him first. And since none of us wanted to get close enough to him to wrestle with him over it, or pile on top of him to hold him down and get it away, we had to be just a little bit sneaky. So a couple of the fellas took out their weapons and whetstones and started sharpening their edges. And after a few minutes, I went over to Beorn, carefully staying on the side of the boat in front of Halfdan, and offered to work on his axe. Well, Beorn just handed over his axe with a big old smile, and I took it off over to my bench. Now, we weren't quite ready to get after him yet, because he was still wearing his mail, and we all remember too well just how tough it was to haul Hakon back into the boat that time he fell into the ocean while wearing his mail and trying to oar dance. Not that we minded having an extra anchor or two, but you know, them berserks is just way too much fun to have around when you run into a nice big group of Saxons. Or Celts. Or Franks. Or Byzantines. Or, well, anyway, I think you get the idea there. So Sven shrugged out of his mail and started acting like he was fixing a hole in it. And he looked over at Beorn and asked him if he had any holes in his mail. Well, Beorn said he didn't know, so Sven told him to take it off and give it to Olli, and Olli would give it to him and he would check it out for him. So Beorn stood up to shrug out of it, and I tell you, that wind just whipped up around him and blew right down on the deck, and I was just about to jump over the side there. But he got out of it and handed it to Olli, who backed away so fast he fell over one of the rowing benches, and the mail just dropped right down on top of his head in a great big lump. So now we had Beorn right where we wanted him. I tucked his axe into my bench box and I locked it up tight, and I got a big helping of Beorn's favorite lutefisk and walked over to him along the edge of the ship. And just as I got up to him, I stumbled and dropped the lutefisk over the side. Well, he let out a yell and leaned over the side to see if he could grab it, and I just leaned on down there, grabbed a hold of his ankles, and tipped him right over the side into the sea. A couple of the fellows were making bets at that point about how many dead fish would come floating up to the top. A few of the others thought that the sea would just spit him on out right back up into the boat. But at least he got a good long soak, and by the time we circled back around to pick him up again. But I'll tell you, the other two berserks on board made sure to dump a couple of buckets of water over themselves before we got back, and even Bjarki's wife Hildy seemed a little less annoyed with him when we finally got home. Yeah, sure, you betcha.